Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. One of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen, at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. And hell yes, we are definitely off the reservation tonight. With me tonight is my producer, Kyle Pratt, the son of the infamous Dave Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
Hey, Ambassador. How's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Along with me is my co-host. I have two co-hosts tonight, Maggie Yee from Hong Kong. Say hello, Maggie.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys again.
And then my dear friend, Maggie's baby doctor from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, is in the studio with us, Dr. Tony. Say hello, Dr. Tony.
Hello, Chief.
Hello, baby daughter.
Yeah. We got a great lineup tonight, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that we are going to talk about is this incident in Charlottesville, Virginia, that took place over the weekend. I've been there. I used to live in Maryland. I've been all over Virginia. I've been all over the East Coast. It's a nice, beautiful town, beautiful community, nice people. And it was invaded by racists, white racists, black racists, all kinds of racists. Went down there and to cause trouble. And there's two sides to every story, as Donald Trump said. In fact, this time I think there's three sides. But the big thing is, just stop and think about it for a minute. Who in the hell would go down there with helmets and baseball bats? Who would do that? I mean, people are being paid to do that.
Yeah, people with nothing better to do.
Yeah, but they're. I mean, Charlottesville's a couple hours from D.C. And maybe 3 hours from Baltimore. So people go down there to protest with helmets and baseball bats.
I wouldn't call baseball bats protesting. That's more of a riot than a protest.
Yeah, it's a riot. That's exactly right. And we're going to have an interesting man here on the show here in just a few minutes. He's an attorney. He was a federal prosecutor. He's going to be talking about what he's done over the years, and we're going to ask him some serious questions about the legality of what's going on in our cities. And the other thing I don't like is destroying our history. I really, really pissed off about that. You don't destroy American history. I don't care if it's the Confederate flag or what the hell it is. This is American history. Tony, Dr. Tony, was originally from Philadelphia. And if you've ever been to Philadelphia, and I've been there, and I've went to the beautiful museums. It was our capital of our country before Washington, D.C., right?
Right.
Yeah, and there's beautiful museums.
Oh, yeah.
And beautiful statues.
Yeah.
You know, of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, all of our countrymen.
Now, I'll tell you one thing. The Rocky statue isn't going anywhere.
That's right. Damn right, the Rocky statue. But no, I'm serious. We can't forget our history.
Well, and if people want it out, that you don't destroy it. The way to get stuff out that you don't like is you vote for people that campaign on taking it out. If you want it out so bad, you don't just go up and take a tow truck and pull it down. That's
right.
It's kind of like savage. You want to, if you're really unhappy, that's what voting is for. That's why we live in a republic democracy.
That's right, a free democracy.
Free democracy.
Yeah, vote them out at the ballot box. But it just really upsets me. And this is the same thing that this asshole Halbritter did. This fake Indian, him and Susan Harjo and Elizabeth Warren, fake Indians, owns a casino. He has no business owning a casino. representing the Oneida Nation, and he's not an Oneida Indian. This is the same thing that this guy did to the Washington Redskins and parading around the country because he's a billionaire and telling everybody that these names are racist. It's the same thing. It's happening here.
It's happening in every area.
Yeah.
Now.
You know, and I mean, Martin Luther King was against gay marriage. So what are we going to do? Take down his statues?
Yeah.
Because he was against gay marriage? Give me a damn break.
Yeah. And all these things are reminders of how far we've come as a society rather than looking at it as a bad thing.
That's right. That's right. We need sponsors, ladies and gentlemen. We've been at it almost 3 years, so if you can help us out, we have a GoFundMe page. You can contact me, 602-531-3000. And we appreciate anything you can give us because we're here to tell the truth and deliver the message, and that's what we want to do. And I always shout out to all the listeners all over the country, especially our Native Americans, and the listeners that got caught up in this Halbritter scam in Wilmington, Delaware, Neshaminy, Pennsylvania, Goshen, Indiana, Lancaster, New York. They got ripped off because of this political correctness BS. Well, Trump don't put up with it, and we ain't going to put up with it either. American Indian Center of the Great Plains. Talked to Johnny Gardner, my partner, a couple of days ago. He's doing good. Also, I want to mention that Monday was Navajo Code Talker Day. Did you know that?
Wow.
Did not.
No.
Yeah, it's an official holiday by President.
It was all in code, so I didn't understand it. But.
Yeah, I think it was President Reagan that made August 14th an official Navajo Code Talker Day. So I want to shout out to the remaining Code Talkers, and there's, I think, only about 13 of them left. And then my Navajo Che, of course, Peter McDonald. I talked to him last week. He's doing good. He's the youngest one of them. And he's going to say something to all our listeners on the Navajo Nation. But first, before he does, I want to say, Yate She Dene, Dennis Yellowhorse and She, Hadish Banana, Peter McDonald and She.
Yate Shas Toy Sazane, Setelke, She Kent, the Neshike, Notliniki, Shidi Peter McDonald, Dashne. Aska hat zahon slobet ani bashin adots a carne dashinale ashi dashiche todich in eba esetta shada haldia kododi nini eba hanne hat no kodoy ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse ni yalkicho yoswol akoda nini be eba hanne the real deal will yell. Jo koe hashine land ne says yes yadal lahod aba lahod lahadal now die do kot eda ebni na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no yahal neki da nini jo ede ba honne akko ikena aslagi sto banda yohni to banda notra Graves Company will love La shibe da no Sunday da jo kodo kushi without di ikena aslau kodo kuichi na long kodo hichi yati.
Thank you, Peter. Now I'm going to have my business associate. He lives in Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C. He went to the inauguration with Alex and I, and he's been all over the world. He's a representative, as I am with Jay Stryker, out of New York. They're one of the market makers. They're like a Goldman Sachs. He's going to say something. He's a retired Marine. He's going to say something in Spanish to all our listeners in northern Mexico, southern New Mexico, California, who don't speak their language of choice, and their language now is predominantly Spanish. He's going to say something to them. Mark, if you would.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y YouMade Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now my lovely co-host here, if she'll quit texting, is going to say something to all our listeners in China, in Asia, that listen to our show because of her. So if you would, Maggie.
Thank you, Chip. 其实这个节目是说美国的印第安人的历史文化。Washington Post 访问所有美国的印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Redskin Kansas City Chief 这个名字，但是有的坏人呢要改变这个名字。珍妮斯·王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。珍妮斯·王马先生还有出售有机涂眼叫优美，如果有需要打我美国电话6025151073。Thanks so much, Chief, for having me on Real Deal. That is such my honor.
Thank you, Maggie. In fact, she has a lot of listeners on this WeChat. Have you ever heard of WeChat, Kyle?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in China they don't have Facebook.
Yeah, it's like their social media.
Yeah, like Facebook.
Yeah, so she's got a lot of them listening, and there's been several groups flying in. In fact, she has a movie star coming in here Friday, and hopefully she'll be here next week so we can have her in here in the studio, I hope.
Oh, I don't know. She stay here for 1 week.
Well, yeah.
Oh, I think she will be here. She live in Barcelona.
Yeah, she lives in Barcelona.
Okay.
So she's going to come in, and it'll be nice to meet her. Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest-growing internet radio station in the country. 200 shows and going strong. 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell them who's number one.
The Real Deal.
You're damn right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And that's because of all the fans of all the teams that honor Native Americans. We want to thank them, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks, for listening and honoring Native Americans by using these names. And it's just what I said earlier in the monologue here about this political correctness crap and these people that want to tell you what's good for you and what's bad for you. It's a scam. It's like Halbritter. It's a scam, and it's social and cultural genocide to Native Americans and to all Americans, actually, that believe in our history of our country. And just sit back for a minute and look what happened in Germany. This crazy Adolf Hitler damn near killed all the Jews, and he really went out to try it, do it, exterminate a race. And that's what's happening here. These people that want to tear down monuments because they're the Confederate Army, that's a total bullshit fraud. I'll tell you that right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break. I want you to call the pilots, Kyle, right, and fire them up. Tell them to light the fires, kick the tires, and get us over to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Somebody's babe. She must be somebody's Okay, we're back. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce our next guest here out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, Samuel Winder. Mr. Winder has practiced law for the past 29 years. He served as a federal prosecutor for over 12 years. He owns several awards for his service as a federal prosecutor, including Federal Executive Board Public Service Award. Currently, Sam is in private practice where he represents the rights of individuals in the United States federal court. And to practice in federal court, you got to be a damn good attorney. I'll tell you that right now. He also has previously represented the state of New Mexico, the city of Albuquerque in various matters, including the Albuquerque Police Department. Sam also served as the state district judge for the 2nd Judicial District from October 11 to December 12. Before becoming a judge, he was the owner of his own practice. Sam worked in Washington, D.C. in private practice with the Department of Interior and the United States Select Committee on Indian Affairs. Sam is a 1984 graduate of Stanford, very impressive, and a 1988 graduate of the University of New Mexico School of Law. At the University of New Mexico School of Law, he was on the Dean's List and Honor Roll. Sam is an enrolled member of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe. He's also part Navajo, and he is very active with his church, previously serving on their board. He has 3 daughters, 1 son, and a grandson. Sam is a conservative Christian, and he's a Trump supporter. Amen to that. Welcome to The Real Deal, Sam. This is the ambassador.
Mr. Yellowhorse, thank you for those kind words. I'm honored to be part of your program this evening.
You're on with a very famous pediatrician from Philadelphia, Dr. Tony, is here in the studio.
Oh, thanks for elevating me up there, Chief.
Yeah.
Dr. Glad to meet you over the phone.
Likewise.
Yes, Sam. I'm kind of concentrating a little bit tonight on these racial riots that happened last week in Charlottesville, Virginia. I used to live in Maryland, and if you lived in D.C., you probably went to Charlottesville. What really disturbs me is you have all these different groups coming in there to riot. And who in their right mind would come in to a small, beautiful community on all sides and wear helmets and baseball bats or 2x4s? And that really disturbs me because all parties come in there for trouble. And you as a federal prosecutor, I want to ask you a question. Whoever's funding these people, and somebody is, because they aren't going down there on their own nickel, who's ever funding these people on all sides, as a prosecutor, don't you think somebody, or Attorney General Sessions or somebody, could bring charges against these people for inciting a riot? I'd like to hear your response.
Well, thank you for the opportunity again. I have high regard for Attorney General Sessions, and as you had mentioned, I was a former prosecutor, and I think that the key issue in all prosecutions is garnering the facts, and make sure you've got all the facts in order. And I believe that if it's determined that individuals were involved in inciting a riot, then they should be held accountable under the law. So I hope and pray for the citizens in the community of Charlottesville. And you're right, I did work in the D.C. area, so I've been down there and on a few occasions. But I'm confident that General Sessions is going to do the right thing, and I think they're in the process of conducting their investigation.
God, I hope so, because this is just outrageous to go into a small, beautiful town like that and just wreak havoc, and a beautiful young lady ends up getting killed by some neo-Nazi or whoever the hell he was.
I agree. And I heard her, the mother, speak today, and she was very eloquent. And I my prayers are certainly for the family of this young woman that was killed. And I agree with you, Mr. Yellowhorse.
Yeah. Well, tell me, Sam, your aspirations are someday to become a judge, a federal judge, or?
Thank you for that question. Yes, it's ironic. I look in the mirror and I see the gray hair starting to come out. And about 12 years ago, I was too young to become a federal judge. But now I'm getting to that point where I may be hitting that plateau. But, that's if it's God's plan for me to be a federal judge, I'd love to. I think that one of the things that I think would be important is to have an individual that's that's served as a prosecutor, a judge, and someone that's familiar with representing the constitutional rights of individuals. So I'm hoping that if that opportunity should arise, that I'll be positioned to do so. So, but again, that is a dream, and it's one of the things I'm just going to. I hope I don't digress too much, but. Dr. Martin Luther King's niece, I saw a tweet that she made, and she's a Trump supporter, by the way, that
I know, yeah.
she made today. And it was a wonderful message that she presented. And I hope and pray that at some point she'll hear what I say. I was honored when I found out about a year ago she started following me. But her uncle was an inspiration to me when I applied to law school. And, of course, everyone knows the famous I have a dream speech. Judge me not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. I wrote it when I applied to law school. They asked us who was the most influential person in our life. And Dr. King was. And so I applaud her. And I know that some African Americans may be challenged because of their support of President Trump, but I applaud her for what she said because I think that took courage.
Yes, I did. I seen her on TV yesterday. I've been following her as well. In fact, I'd like to get her on the show sometime. But no, it's like I said earlier in the show. You probably didn't hear my monologue, but history. If you go back in history, there was a lot of evil things that people did, and we can't change that. There's nothing we can do to change that. But one of the things we can do is not erase that because we don't want people to forget.
Right.
And that's very important to me. And my good friend Dr. Tony here comes from the beautiful city of Philadelphia. I've been there many times, and all of the statues and all of the history and the museums, it was the first capital of the United States, right, Dr. Tony?
Right.
And so that really upsets me when you see people tearing down statues and trying to destroy our history. You may not like it, but you damn sure don't want to forget it.
Well, while we've been doing this show, I was looking up some things on my phone because thinking of history, they've got a mountain of Crazy Horse in South Dakota.
Right.
For the victory of the Native Americans at the Little Bighorn.
Right.
Of course, Custer lost, so they got a statue of him because he was big in the Civil War in his home state of Michigan. So, it's all part of history.
That's right.
There could be people that don't like Crazy Horse on a mountain and people that don't like Custer's statue in Michigan, but it's part of history. You can't change it.
That's right, and you shouldn't change it,
I agree with that, Mr. Yellow Horse and Doctor. One of the things that I see in this whole process is that sometimes we lose sight of the big picture. What's happening, and I don't want to digress, but look what's happened in Chicago, right, with the black and black violence, all these issues that are very important to our communities. That's where the focus should really be. And one of the things that it may be politically incorrect to say, but I think that our country is divided. But I think one of the things, getting back to what this young woman's mother said, is she says forgive and to love, and that's where that's the biggest challenge I think for our country is to we have to look at the past and history and learn from that and move forward. And
right.
One of the things that my father taught me and my parents taught me is I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. And I think you probably don't know this, but my dad was not in my bio. My dad was 17 years old. He was black when he left the segregated South to come to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And he was not a victim. He taught me never to be a victim. And he, I think he would be so disappointed with what's happened in our country now. He's no longer here. He passed on a few years ago. But anyway, I agree with what you said.
Yeah, no, that's good. I have another guest here in the studio with me that just walked in. She's a registered member of the Tohono O'odham tribe, and she's also with the Zuni Indian Nation. Her name is Roberta Takala, and she's a good friend of mine. She's been on the show before. Roberta, thank you for coming in.
Well, good afternoon. I should say good evening. I just got here through the long haul of the traffic coming from the north, but I made it here.
Well, one of the things we're discussing, we have Sam Winder. He's a former federal prosecutor. Dr. Tony is here. Maggie's here. One of the things we're discussing, Roberta, and I wanted to get your input, is this racism around America where they have these small groups, they're hatred groups. And they're promoting race relations, and the media is playing it up big time, and they're trying to blame Trump for being a racist. And when I first started this show, Sam, I want you to know that Kyle's dad, Dave Pratt, the owner of this studio, he took a lot of heat because I started this show on behalf of the Washington Redskins and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they called his dad and said, "Get Mr. Yellow Horse off the show. He's a racist." And they call me every name in the book.
Interesting. Racism it covers a lot of issues. And being Native American, it really sets out a lot of, issues. But at the same time, when we look at racism and we look at people because of our pigments of, our skin, our different colors, it's how that person was raised, their environment that they raised, their teachers, their lessons, things like that. Right. I think plays a lot of importance on how people view racism. Because a lot of times, I guess, from what I've learned is the pigment. I mean, people are basing things on pigments, and then they go back and use the history, of what's happened in the past, and they still use that today, where, today is different from many moons ago, as I would say.
Sure.
So when we look at that, we're growing our children up like that, these generations that are in this environment and in these settings, that's all they see, because they've never been exposed to maybe the outside world.
Right.
And when you see a lot of different places, I've had that experience being Native American. I've lived here in Arizona all my life, yet at the same time, racism never hit me, especially here in Phoenix, because we have all different kinds of nationalities that stem here.
Right.
I grew up in Deer Valley, and I was the only Native American in a white collar culture. So for me, growing up that and then going back to the reservation and having, it was a different experience for me. But yet at the same time, nobody ever was racist towards me. And I don't think I experienced racism until I had gone to South Dakota last year. And driving from Phoenix to South Dakota was an experience because my pigments, my color, I'm pretty much tan here. You can tell I'm Native American. But my voice and, I grew up urban, so I'm not the traditional, quiet, stereotype Native American where you could, just, wow, I'm more the talkative. And for me to go travel from Phoenix to South Dakota, and I was heading up to the pipelines, and I had my fair share of that. I've never been scared in my life. And being Native American and educated in my segment, I was still scared. That didn't protect me. And so going through these different states and getting to South Dakota, and having to fill her up in an old, truck and get out and and approach people like normal. Like every day, what I'm used to out here in Phoenix was a different experience.
Right.
Because the moment that I stepped out into to get gas and pay the register, the look that I got was something that I would never want any of my children to experience. That even though, I had the respect to say hello, good morning, it was still a shocker because it was like words come out of your mouth,
Yeah.
So when I view racism here in America, I can't even imagine, how it would be. But just even that partake of what I've experienced has really set me in a different perspective.
Well,
that I always thought that Arizona, because Arizona's not like that, everywhere in the United States was like the way it was here in Phoenix. And
well, I've been all over the country, and literally I have, and people from different parts of the country think things differently. They're a little clannish, they're a little old-fashioned. Some call them hillbillies, some call them whatever. But down deep, the majority of Americans are good, hard people.
Exactly.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I agree with that. And I'm an urban Indian as well. Have not experienced racism in Albuquerque, but I was in South Dakota about 15 years ago when I was a federal prosecutor, and I can understand your perspective with what happened up there as well, ma'am. But what I try to look at any event in history is look at a teachable moment. And what I've taught my children, diversity is important. They're Navajo, but I'm an American first. Yep. We're American, right. And a country divided will not stand. That's Abraham Lincoln that said that. And we're at a point in the history of this great country where we must find a way of working with each other. Of course, we have differences in opinion. We've got Republicans, Democrats, Independents, but it's those individuals that are out there, and we know who the individuals are that are funding these other groups. In Albuquerque, George Soros pumped $250,000 into the campaign for the district attorney. So, but I think that's where we are right now, and I am praying for our president that he will be, and I'm confident that he will lead. But we're Americans, and I think that's the tragedy. I think with regard to what's happened is it's people are divided, but that's what I want to teach my children. Be proud of who you are.
Sure,
we're Americans.
Sure. One of the things that I really object to is the mainstream media. They're totally against our president. They're totally biased. They don't even tell the truth, and when he calls it fake news, it really is. And that's why. And Alex, are you on the line?
I'm on the line, man, and I've got a lot to say.
Okay, why don't you say a few words? You're with Dr. Tony, you're with Roberto Chacala, and you're also with Samuel Winder in Albuquerque.
Oh, how are you guys? I'm glad to be on. I'm here in California. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
yes, sir.
We can hear you. Tell us your thoughts about what occurred here last weekend.
Okay, well, let me just make my points. Number one, the supposedly white supremacist who organized the rally for the Charlottesville deal, he was a former Obama guy, plus he was a former Occupy Wall Street guy, so something's very fishy on this whole thing. Something's very vile and cunning, this is with the media too, because they're trying to excuse the much more dangerous fascism on their own side. Think about it. The driving of the speakers off campus, not just the Antifa violent guys, but the deans and the studio bosses in Hollywood, man. If you have a different point of view, they'll run you out of town. I mean, that is just the truth, we got some seriously crazy stuff going on here. So, I mean, what's underway is an effort to create a national shaming of the right. For example, look at the stuff like Trump is a fascist. I mean, Trump has never been a fascist. He's never ever said one kind thing about fascism. But the left wants to have a one-way hate campaign, and that is basically bottom line, I mean, if they want to start talking about taking down monuments and statues and status, what about this Robert Byrd, man? He was a Democrat in West Virginia. He was with the KKK for years. Huge. I mean, Hillary called him her mentor, Nobody's talking about any of this
I heard
stuff.
that on the radio today.
Nobody's talking about any of this stuff. Nobody's talking about, what about Lenin? People like that. Like Trump said, what are you going to do? Start taking down George Washington? You're going to start taking down all these statues? You can't erase history.
And you don't want to erase history.
But that's not what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is they're trying to cause and create havoc. You got these paid buses, these buses full of Antifa and Black Lives Matter groups paid by George Soros and these other people, these elite groups, and we know who's behind it, okay? We know Obama's behind all this. We know the Clintons are behind all this. They want Trump out. And I'll tell you, a lot of the Republicans want him out as well.
That's right.
He stands for America, man, 100%. He's trying to give this country back. You see what he's already trying to do for the Native Americans, and what he's trying to do for the black communities as well. You do not see the Black Caucus out there speaking up for him, even though he's trying to help.
Right. Well, he's coming here next Tuesday. You're going to go to the rally, Kyle?
I'm hoping to. Yeah, my brother's. Like I said, he's leaving tomorrow. So if I have to go solo with my older brother, we're going.
I'll guarantee you, it'll be packed to the gills.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to try to. I'll be flying, but I'm going to try to fly because I need to see you anyways, Dennis. So I'm going to try to fly in. Maybe I could fly in on Tuesday for the rally.
Yeah, come in and then be on the show Wednesday.
Right.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
I don't know how much time we have.
Go ahead, Samuel.
As you know, I'm a Christian, and my call is I'm a American, but I'm a Christian, and I don't know how. I know there's a lot of listeners out there. I'm hoping and praying that those Christians that are out there, those pastors, will pray for our president and pray for this country, because that's what we need. It's not, I'm an individual that I've got friends that are Democrats, independents, Republicans, and I love them. I love this country, and I think that's the time. This is a moment in time where I think we can make a difference, and I'm so glad that I got a chance to meet you, Mr. Yellowhorse, Mr. Ambassador. I have to say one thing. When I was a young prosecutor, there was a judge that always called me Winder, and I was afraid to correct him. But just for my family will be hearing, my last name is actually pronounced Winder, but it doesn't matter. Winder, Winder, you can call me whatever you want. But anyway, I have high regard for it. I didn't want to correct you earlier. But anyway, thank you, sir.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Sam, I'm just going to follow up on that. I was in high school, 66 to 70 in Philadelphia, all-boys Catholic high school, and I ran cross-country. And there was just me and one other sophomore that were on the cross-country team. He was Irish-American. I'm Italian-American. He would always used to tease me with, what's the world's smallest book? The Book of Italian War Heroes. And I said, all right, my counter to that was, well, we had this Italian guy named Enrico Fermi who pretty much helped invent the atom bomb. So one brain of an Italian is worth a lot more Irishman. So I had a comeback, But this has been going on since the beginning of time. You have to stick up for whatever you are.
Yeah.
Look, I tell you, I'm a Christian as well. So, and they're trying to rip Christianity out of this country. I'll tell you that. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, they are, and
I believe that. I believe Christianity and Christians are under attack.
Hey, by the way, Sam, I just want to wish you the best of luck becoming a federal prosecutor or federal judge, because I'm in the field of medicine, so I didn't know the hierarchy in the legal world, but the father of one of my son's classmates, when he was in grade school, became a federal judge in Philadelphia. So I asked one of my attorney friends, what's the big deal? And he said, look, when you're a federal judge, if you want to have 2 Doberman Pinschers or 2, Great Danes hanging around your office, you can do whatever the heck you want. So that sounds like a pretty good job. I hope you get it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Your resume, Sam Winder, is very impressive.
Thank you.
To go to Stanford, that's a high bar to get over.
The hardest part about Stanford, the easy part was getting in. The hard part was getting out.
Well, hey, Mr. Winder, hopefully, if you're coming to Phoenix and everything, maybe get a chance to meet you. There's a lot of political issues when it comes to Native Americans, and I just need some standing. And it just seems like, I'm just talking to you and seeing, some of your credentials. It seems that I got a lot to say.
Thank you. Look forward to that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
And thank you, Mr. Yellowhorse, and the doctor, and everyone, Alex, and everyone. It's been a great time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon, okay?
You guys, y'all have a great evening.
Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Alex, try to come in next week if you can.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Because I'm telling you, Trump's going to pack him to the gills, man.
Yeah. Well, they want to remove him out of office.
But, you missed my earlier monologue, and I told Mr. Winder, these people that are paying these protesters like Soros or whoever they are, those people need to be charged with inciting a riot.
Well, what are you going to do when you have the mayor, okay, and the governor not speaking out against it? Something's wrong.
Yeah, something's definitely wrong. The mayor and the governor, and they're not speaking. And the media don't even want to say anything about the other two groups that were there. But who shows up? Who shows up at a riot with a helmet and a baseball bat?
Exactly.
That's a setup from the word go.
Well, look, let me tell you, these guys that were, wanting to protest about, saving the statue, they filed a long time ago to get permits to do this. So, they knew this was coming, and the left was ready for it. And they want to, and of course CNN, the way CNN will actually convict you, and they're judge, jury, and everything, man. I mean, they don't even know what's going on, and they're just out there, blaming white supremacy on the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now they're trying to say that all Trump supporters are white supremacists.
Yeah. If you're a Trump supporter, you're a racist. Hey, we're going to take a short break. Can you stay with us? Okay. Before we go on the break, I want to tell everybody in the world, all these people that are protesting and raising hell and burning the flag, the American flag, the Confederate flag, and trying to destroy history of Americans and Native Americans. You know what their problem is?
You can't handle the truth.
Okay, I'm back. Damn, I love my music.
Always got the good music.
Yep, I love rock and roll. I love it all. It's great to see you, Roberta.
Yeah, it's glad. I'm glad to be here. Although I can see out here the window and see Scottsdale.
It's great to see you. Yeah, you're a fan of the show, and you've always been a good supporter. And you're a proud Native American, and you believe in what you believe in and what your family taught you. And I just want to say that's why I do this show, is because I don't ever want the image of Native Americans to be lost in this country.
Exactly. We have a voice, and we're here. We may not be that high percentage of other cultures, are, but we are here.
The first Americans.
Yeah, definitely.
I missed the first half. So are you a Navajo?
No, I'm half. I'm half Tanoatam, which is southern Arizona, and I'm also Zuni Pueblo. My father comes from Zuni. So I was born and raised in Phoenix. So I guess you could say my mother was part of that boarding school era, and out of that, host the Knops. That's how I ended up. I guess you could say a sparkle in my dad's eye, my mom and dad's eye. I was that sparkle, and here I am, and I am here. I grew urban. Raised in Phoenix. Deer Valley was really my area. And then from there, progressed to the res and got culture shock of my own people. But, it was a learning experience for me because it brought me to realize what our nations needed, and not just my own nation, all of the Red Nation across the United States. Sure. So one of my biggest things is trying, right now, I've been focused on getting my doctorate degree and my dissertation on the economic development and management, which will cover tribal fundings and things like that, federal funding. But I want to be able to show our nations how we can enhance our revenue and solely, learn how to provide and work off sustaining our nations. So, and that's one of the biggest things, is trying to get them to understand. I'm a former council leader for the Tanoatam Nation. And so my biggest thing, my goal is to become chairwoman someday and be president.
The Tohono O'odham, I had your Mr. Manuel.
Oh, yeah.
He's the governor.
Mr. Manuel is our chairman.
Chairman, okay. I get it mixed up because in New Mexico they call them governors.
Yeah.
But here it's chairman.
Chairman. And I think each district and each nations have their own,
Yeah, he was on my show.
Yeah, that's what I had heard that.
Yeah, he'd come on my show. He's a very nice man.
Yeah.
And
I remember that show.
Yeah, he'd come on the show, and I went and stayed at one of your casinos down in Tucson when Maggie and I went to the Gem and Mineral show.
Oh, okay. You guys were at the Diamond.
That's right.
Yeah.
Desert Diamond. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I love it over there.
Yeah, it was very, very nice, and we enjoyed it. You've been down there, haven't you, Tony?
No, I've never been down there.
What about Gila River?
Last time I was at a casino was like 1978 when they legalized gambling in Atlantic City. I haven't been one since.
Yeah, well, Gila River's just around the corner from you, so.
Indian gaming is very resourceful to Native nations. It employs people, brings in income. It's a good thing. Yeah. And it's just a shame that somebody like this Halbretter from back east that's a fake Indian can hijack it and abuse it, because it's going to hurt. And I told Ernie Stevens this. He's my friend. It's going to hurt Indian gaming. It's going to give them a bad name if they don't divorce themselves from this idiot that was out on his own quest to change the names of the Washington Redskins.
By the way, Chief,
and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Doing this show reminded me of something I completely forgot about in my own family history. My former mother-in-law, who's now deceased, she was from Tennessee. Almost everybody from the South is part Cherokee.
Yeah.
So she was 132nd Cherokee, 116th. That meant my wife was 132nd. That means my grandchildren are 164th Cherokee.
Good.
So there you go. I got part Cherokee.
What's amazing is I go to Oklahoma.
My kids.
What did he say?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma.
The Trail of Tears.
Yeah, Oklahoma. The word Oklahoma is a Native American name meaning redskin.
Really?
It really is.
Oh,
you can look it up on Wikipedia.
Wow.
And there's so many people in Oklahoma that have Native American heritage.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they don't look like Native Americans, but they do.
Well, a lot of them too have integrated and intermingled, but they're still considered that percentage to be Native American. And a lot of times we don't even recognize our own people because of our pigments, but they're Native Americans.
That's right.
And I can remember one time when we went to Washington when the museum first opened up there, the Native American Museum, and they had their doings out there, and there were Native Americans from all across the United States. Yet, you could tell them. You could tell who's who. But then when you saw these, the Cherokees, I got to say, wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah. Hey,
I
we're
grew
gonna.
up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Yeah, he grew up with a lot of Native Americans in Wisconsin.
And all my friends growing up, they were Native American.
Wow.
So I grew up with Chippewa, Cherokee,
Holy
Oneida.
smoke. Wow.
Yeah, I have a big background, and I used to go to Oshkosh. I used to go to powwows as a kid. My dad's best friend, who actually worked with my father at American Motors Corporation, his name was Chuck Winters. He was a Native American, so we used to all go fishing all the time together.
Wow.
Me and his kids, which were my best friends, Kurt and Corey. But, I had friends. Their names were Geronimo, Cricket, Smiley. And let me tell you, they were poor Indians, okay? We grew up in a very mixed ethnic. Let me tell you, our neighborhood was black, Puerto Rican, everything, Indian, Native American. And there was none of this, what you're seeing right now, this crazy racism stuff. I mean, we all got along. We had block parties. I don't get anything that's been going on for the past 10 years. Well, it's getting worse.
The media is hyping it, and there's a lot of forces behind it that want to take Trump down. Hey, hang on. We're going to be right back.
All right.
we're back. Delbert McClinton, ladies and gentlemen, 2 more bottles of wine. God, I love my music. It keeps me going. But I
Great music.
Alex, where in California are you anyway?
I live in downtown Los Angeles.
Oh, nice. I was out in Dana Point a few weeks ago. Boy, I sure wish I could afford to live there.
Well, Dana Point is amazing.
You know what was really cool was July 4th.
Which is, by the way, it's very Republican over there.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta have a lot of money to live in Dana Point.
In July 4th, Maggie and I went and stayed at Nicolas Cage's house.
Oh.
In Newport Beach.
Nice.
And Alex come down, and we had a great time, and it was awesome, and we made Newport Beach great again.
Yeah. Well, Newport Beach was already pretty good, Chief.
Yeah.
Hey, I like to go and run down that and exercise. At
Yeah,
those little tiny
it was
parks,
good.
they got the exercise.
Maggie would get up. Maggie would get up every morning and go down to the fisherman's market and buy a big old fish, a red snapper, I think it was, and she brought it home and she'd cook it Chinese style.
Oh, nice.
For lunch. It was so cool.
Hey, Alex, I should tell you really something kind of funny. I was staying at a Best Western on the Pacific Coast Highway in sort of Dana Point, not far from Monarch Beach and the Ritz-Carlton. So I was all excited, even though I heard the Pacific's cold, I was all excited. I brought my swimsuit. I was all excited to run across the street and jump in the Pacific Ocean. There was only one problem. The Best Western didn't tell me that the little part of the PCH where I was across the street was railroad tracks for Amtrak, and then a 6-foot-high fence with barbed wire on it to get to the beach. You had to go parallel down the street and cross over. I'm like,
you were at a very bad location.
I'm like, now how? You talk about the railroad getting right away. How does the railroad get right away to Dana Point Beach?
It's a nice train ride down, because Union Station is right downtown here, and you can take that southern train ride straight down all the way to San Diego. It's actually nice, and then you get the coastal view.
We had a good time at Union Station in D.C., didn't we?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was great. The Prime Steakhouse was my favorite.
Yeah, the Prime Rib.
Hey, there's this one restaurant. I think it's on that highway. It's a Mexican restaurant. They have the best chili relleno. Yeah, we were driving from Diego to L.A. and it just seemed to pop up right there between almost, I think, by the base, I think, or one of the bases. I remember seeing the bases after that, but it's just right there on the highway. And so
that reminds me, another thing I knew about chilies was the red hot chili peppers, but out here in Arizona, we're coming up on this big Hatch New Mexico green chili season.
Hey, I got
which
some.
I know the Chief, there's people take trucks and stock up on Hatch green chilies. Is this true?
I can tell you all about that.
I want some Hatch green chilies, Chief.
Yeah,
I got lucky. I got lucky. Last week I had half a bag of that. I brought it down from Zuni, New Mexico.
Okay.
So I got packed with that.
Well, October is going to be about the time. Okay, we got to go, ladies and gentlemen. We're running out of time. Alex, thank you. Dr. Tony, thank you. Roberta, thank you. Kyle, and my lovely Miss Maggie. Thank her from Hong Kong. In closing, I always want to thank all of our people in the armed services here and abroad protecting our great country. And I'm here to tell the truth, deliver the message. If you guys can support us, I'd really, really appreciate it. Yellowhorse.us, info at yellowhorse.us. 602-540-3000 for advertising or sponsoring The Real Deal. We'll take anything we can get. Kyle, thank you so much. And as I said earlier, I seen your lovely mom and Sammy yesterday. That was really cool. It was just by accident.
Yeah, Sammy told me, he's like, you'll never guess who I saw.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, the ambassador. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what, you got a great family, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So with that being said, Kyle, tell everybody all over the world why the hell I'm here.
To kick gas and save names, Ambassador.
You're damn right.
Thank thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the Ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.